Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be providing a damage report for September. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. If you think back to the beginning of the month, we put out a video called Bitcoin, Wake Me Up When September Ends. We also talked about the same thing and made the identical video basically a year ago as we went into September. And then if you go back a year before that, we talked about, I believe, how September is not normally a great month. And you can see that once again, we in fact did have a red September. However, the good news is that this is the best red September we have ever had. So if there's a consolation prize, this is the best red September we've had. You can see there have in fact been 3 green Septembers before, but we're still continuing to stack on the red Septembers. And I mean, this now is, so there's 4 reds here. There's now 10 red Septembers out of a total of 13. So again, it's just going to continue to make the case that September is not a great month for cryptocurrency in general. And next year, I don't know, maybe we'll be lucky number 7. This is now 6 in a row of red Septembers. But, you know, at the end of the day, we came in at about negative 2.7% to the downside. So in reality, it's not as bad as it has been historically. Historically, the average is at least negative 7%, but within one standard deviation, it's plus or minus 12.8%. So we're well within those bounds of a relatively normal September. I wanted to talk a little bit, though, about kind of some, what are the views about October? Because now that we're in October, what are things that we can expect? Well, interestingly enough, October does tend to be one of the better months for Bitcoin if history is any indication. However, it would be, I would be remiss not to at least mention the fact that if you look at October's trends, it tends to be really good in an accumulation phase and in a bull market. Okay, so in 2019 and 2020 and 2021, we were in an accumulation phase / bull market. But in 2018, we were in a bear market and we ended up getting a red October as well. In 2017, 2016, and 2015, we had 3 green Octobers for Bitcoin. But we also know that 2015 was and 2016 were accumulation phases, and then 2017 was the bull market. So once again, you can kind of see that it's a good month as long as we're not in a bear market. You go back to 2014, 4 years before 2018, again, it was a red October. So I think the argument is that, yeah, like a lot of times October can be relatively good, but when you find yourself in a bear market, it still tends to be red. And then it had me kind of curious how 2022 is really comparing to 2018 and 2014. And we've talked about this a lot before. I mean, we've compared this, this bear market to the 2014 bear market and the 2018 bear market, measuring it from the November peak and from the April peak. We've done that plenty of times. There's plenty of videos where we talk about that. But if you want to look at it on a monthly returns basis, I think there are some interesting things. You'll notice that both 2022 and 2018 had a red January to sort of kick off the year, kind of saying, all right, we're done with the bull market. It's time to shift gears into something different. They both had a green February. And now you can see that it differs a little bit, but what you'll notice is that between March and June, so March, April, May, and June, in 2018 and 2022, 3 of the 4 months were red. Okay, so you had 3 out of these 4 months that were red. We both had green Julys, right, in 2018 and in 2022, green Julys to the tune of about 20% to the upside, followed by red August and red September in both 2018 and 2022. Now, to give you an idea, right, just to give you an idea of how brutal the 2018 bear market was, because a lot of people have seen, like, there are a lot of people that say, right, you haven't really fully experienced a crypto winter yet, or, it's not as bad as 2018. Well, to give you an idea of really how long and drawn out it was in 2018, it would have corresponded to having another 3 red months before the bottom was in. And it would have been a 4% drop in October, followed by another 37% drop in November, and then a final 8% drop in December to sort of mark the end of the bear market. And then we slowly came out of it in 2019. And what's interesting, actually, I guess, is Bitcoin was actually negative in 2019 from in January from open to close, but the bottom for the entire bull market, in fact, did come at the end of 2018. It just pumped before the end of 2018, and then it kind of went down a little bit in January of 2019, but it did not put in a new low. And then you can see we came out into our our fresh accumulation phase and into our sort of mini bull market where we had 5 green months in a row. I mean, I do think we'll eventually get something similar like this with Bitcoin, but right now we still have to get through the end of this year and kind of see how things shape up. If it's going to follow, if it's going to follow 2018, then there could easily be some continued pain ahead. Interestingly, if you look at 2014, there are some similarities, but I think one of the things to note with 2014 and 2018 is if you count up the number of red months, in 2014 we had 8 red months, right? So we had 3 early on, and then we had a cluster of 4, and then 1 more, right? So we had 8 red months out of 12. So 2/3 of the year we had red monthly candles. In 2018, I believe it was 1 more than that, right? So we had 2 right here, another 2, 4, and then 5 going into the end of the year. So in 2018, 9 of the 12 months were in fact red. So historic bear markets tend to be about what, like 8 to 9 red months when we're not worried about a recession. So in 2022, just to sort of count it up, tally it up, see how far off we are from prior months or prior bear markets. You can see we had 1 early on, then a cluster of 3, so that gets us to 4, and then August and September make 6. If October, November, and December are also red, then it gets us to 9, right? Which is basically what happened in 2018. Or if 2 of them are red and 1 is green, then it would be basically 2014. So arguably, Bitcoin is still very much in line with what we've seen in prior bear markets. If you look at data discretized monthly, this is not stuff you should take to the bank. I'm not asking you to. I just want to provide it as maybe a different perspective on the market to help manage expectations. Not to say anything has to happen. And even going into September, I said, look, just because the data suggests that it's likely to be a red month, it doesn't mean that it has to be. And it was a red month, right? It was a red month. So our general expectations were met once again, although there's going to be eventually a September that ends up being green. Okay, so it's just good to have general expectations, for various time periods. It's always hard to predict exactly what's going to happen. We could, of course, have counter trend rallies, and these bear market rallies can happen. We've had a couple of them already in 2022. We had the one back in February and March, and then we had the bear market rally over here in, going from June, July, and mid-August. So certainly we could eventually have more. But I did think this was an interesting way to look at the data. And then another thing that I like to just sort of show you guys and just kind of keep tabs on. It doesn't look like this one is actually updating quite yet, just because of maybe the time zone. But you can kind of see we're counting monthly returns. So +1 if it's a green month, -1 if it's a red month. And you can kind of see where we are. And if you count it like this, we've actually been relatively range bound, really going all the way back to 2017. If you flip this to account for ±1 when we're below 10% in terms of magnitude, and ±2 when it's after 10%, you can see it's still slowly increasing as a function of time. Again, it's just a different way to visualize the data. This is usually what we do in bear markets, right? In accumulation phases, we come up with all sorts of ways to visualize the data and to convince ourselves that we will in fact see another bull market. And then once the bull market's here, we kind of get swept away in it and just sort of enjoy it. And then we get back to the real stuff in the bear market and talk about some more relevant topics. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Just want to provide an update now that we are officially done with September. We'll see where October takes us. I mean, with regards to where Bitcoin is right now, it's currently coming in at 19.4K. Not really the best monthly closes for some of the major stock indices like the S&P, like the Nasdaq. I mean, if you take a look at these monthly candles, doesn't really look that great, right? So we'll see how much longer crypto can hold up under these conditions. But I mean, there certainly is a lot of pressure on the crypto asset class right now. Admittedly, it's holding up relatively well in the short term, although we still know that Bitcoin is down like 77% from the all-time high. The S&P is only down like 24-25% from the all-time high. So you always have to measure. You don't want to cherry pick every single. I mean, if you cherry pick it 3 or 4 weeks ago, you could say Bitcoin's outperforming. If you cherry pick the all-time high, clearly Bitcoin has underperformed. But ultimately, hopefully, this provides at least some general outlook on the market that you find useful. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Please give the video a thumbs up. That helps. Leave a comment down below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.